mountain, record on the cloud. That's what I want to do. And is Pablo here this morning with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Pablo, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for asking, Pablo. So, Pablo, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend?
Well, my name is Pablo. I live in Elmhurst, Queens. Been living here for about a year, but I was originally from Corona, Queens. I was living there probably almost my whole life, and now the reason I joined Europe, right?
Recently joined Europe, yes, sir.
The reason I joined Europe was to see a better future. I felt like college wasn't the path for me. I always felt like they were teaching you unnecessary things that we have already learned from pre-K to 12th grade, and I wasn't trying to repeat all of that again. So
Mm-hmm.
I dropped out my second year, my first semester, and
Mm-hmm.
I was planning to travel the first half of the year because I knew Europe was in September.
Yep.
But then, COVID came and I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, yeah. None of us can, right? We travel from our living rooms to our bedrooms and to our bathrooms, and that's pretty much all the traveling that we do. So, okay, cool. So you joined Europe. Glad to hear that. And what is a fun fact about you, Pablo?
I guess a fun fact about me is that I enjoy playing video games. I play them like every day.
Oh yeah, what's your favorite game?
Right now, the new Call of Duty Cold War,
Cool. And what console do you play on?
the PlayStation 5.
Is that the one that just came out?
Yeah.
Wow, Pablo, you must be rich. I want to be your friend.
No, not rich. I just saved up.
You saved up for your
Yeah.
PS5. Cool. I love it. I love
That
it. Excellent.
that
Also,
Europe money.
a year of money. I'm telling you, avoid those infractions, and you too can have a PS5. So my question for you, Pablo, is an honest question. I never thought about this till this moment. I've been to Corona Queens. I had a friend that used to live there. Is like Corona Queens like did like the real estate go down because of coronavirus and people were like afraid of like, because I know like Corona beer, people were afraid to drink Corona beer because they were thought it was linked to the coronavirus. Is Corona Queens the same way? Have there been jokes about it?
I believe so because
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. I moved out a year ago, and then a year later, coronavirus. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Pablo got out early. Yep. I was just wondering because I was just like thought about that now. I'm like, man, I never thought of the connection till you said that. Yes, where you used to live. And East Elmhurst, yeah, I know, so I have some friends out there too. I have a lot of friends in Queens. I have a couple of friends in Brooklyn, a few in Queens, but obviously most are in the Bronx. But yeah, I love that area. So awesome. And what's a question that you want to ask to our group?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
All right. So in the chat box, where do you see yourself in 5 years, Pablo? Don't go on mute yet. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Mr. Pablo?
In 5 years, I see myself having my own like house, like not in Queens, maybe in Long Island or
Mm-hmm.
in New Jersey, having a stable income and working for a job that I want to work at and not just be there because of the money.
Cool. So you see yourself moving to either Long Island or Jersey and having a stable job or income, working at a place that you want to work at. What would be like your ideal job to have in 5 years, Pablo?
Something to do in IT or cybersecurity
Mm-hmm. Have you
because
ever? Yeah.
my dream goal, probably even more than 5 years from now, is to work for Apple.
Cool. I love it, man. I love it. Yeah. Apple. Do they have an office in New York?
No, I
So
don't
you're
believe.
so you're maybe thinking about moving to are they in Palo Alto, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. Have you ever read Steve Jobs' biography by Walter Isaacson?
yeah,
Yeah, so you know all about how Apple got started. It's a pretty amazing story.
yeah. It is.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Pablo, for being today's assistant instructor. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. Looking at some of the answers, Luis went very, very generic. I see myself at work. Manny says being a restaurant owner. Ashley Ross as a mom. Jesus, hopefully in a great company. I have no idea. Working in a film or audio studio, having a full time job in tech. Mahmoud says Chelsea, 29, in good health with a better and happier life. In 5 years, I'm going to be married, living in my own house with a stable career in data science. Check to Chelsea. Mom, my own place, has a job, moving up as a manager in the workplace. David, hire me. David having a house, Samaj traveling more. I see myself in the house, a degree, and striving for more. Send me your resume. I see myself in my own house. Yeah, I have an interesting question for you guys because I see a lot of people want to have their own house. Green check if you're like, I'm staying in the five boroughs. Red X, like I'm going to the suburbs as soon as I can. Which one are you? Green check, I'm staying in the five boroughs. Red X, I'm going to the suburbs. The second I get a chance, I'm getting out of here.
What do I can't participate. I already live in the suburbs.
Okay, so you're gonna stay in the suburbs. You're gonna move to the city in 5 years, Luis.
Nah, every time I have to drive to the Bronx, I hate it.
Okay, so you're staying in the suburbs.
Yeah.
So we got five borough people and four suburb people. Yeah, just was kind of curious. Some people have different dreams what they want to do. There's definitely moments where I wish I had a house, but I also prefer city living. All right, raise your hand if you can tell me what we discussed last week in this class, or some of the key themes, just key ideas that we discussed last week. And I only had two classes because of the election day and the async day. But who recalls what we discussed? Or because of our guest speaker, rather. I'm getting my weeks mixed up. All right, Luis, what was some of the things we talked about in our lectures last week?
Return of investment.
Mm-hmm. Do you recall what that is?
Like let's say I spend $50 on something, how long it would take me to make back the $50 and more.
Exactly. Return on investment, ROI. So when you're funding a project in project management, that's one of the questions the project sponsor will want to know. I'm going to give you this money, but is it going to pay for itself? I think David, your hand was second.
I believe we talked about time boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So setting a fixed amount of time for each of your tasks. So you work on, I think you work on the bigger tasks first, and then you work on the smaller tasks that take less time.
Yes. So we talked about last week, the two big themes were funding management, which Luis mentioned a little bit of, and what you just said, David, time management. We talked about that a little bit as well. How do we do that in projects? How do we get the funding for projects? How do we show that projects are worth being paid for? And how do we manage the time? Because time is a critical component in it. Andre, do you recall the different reasons for starting a project? There was like 5 or 6 of them. I don't even have them memorized, but do you remember any of them that we?
I don't remember all of them. I do remember one of them in particular was emergency, where it was supposed to be where it was highly needed for I guess infrastructure. It was needed for like in terms of like state purposes for everybody to use, or else it would be a problem later on.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. That's totally an emergency. If we don't do this, it's going to be a big problem down the road. Since you brought it up, and I think it's important talking about as well. Yeah, mission critical, David says. Let me just pull it up here. Pablo, can you see that?
Yes.
So these were the different areas. So yeah, Andre, emergency, that's a must-do project. And then mission critical, if we don't do, it'll cause impact. So operational, strategic, and compliance. These are all different reasons why you do a project. Awesome. So now we're going to go into the execution phase. I know that a lot of you have already done your discussion board for this evening, which is great. But let's go ahead and have a chat about it. Share a time when you set out to do something in your life, but you never did it. Someone want to raise their hand and share a story. It could be professional, it could be personal. But time in your life, raise your hand, and I'll call on you where you set out to do something, but you never actually did it. Rahul.
Hey guys, it's Rahul. So one thing, I started off college with the intention of doing computer science. Fell off that, but I found myself in the computer science field again. But at some point in between that, I was really motivated. I was always into graphic design and virtual design. I was really good at it, and I'm still good at it. And that was something I wanted to pursue at a point. At one point, I kept checking out all those random galleries or along like Bowery Street and by Chelsea Piers. There's a ton of galleries by pop-up artists, and I always thought, wow, one day, I'm gonna try to have one of my own through design. And I wanted to basically set up a blog where every day I would post like political-esque cartoons relating to today and the world and the current, state of affairs, and trying to
Right.
because a lot of the there's a lot of hostility between like the two opinions of the country. So, you know, I wanted to like have a platform where it would be communicated in a more like playful way rather than
Sure.
that hostility. But I never really got to that, but it's still on the side. So hopefully one day.
Right. I love it. I love it. Well, we hope one day to all see your art installation because that sounds pretty cool. Let us know when you do it because that sounds pretty neat. But you're right. I think a lot of times we set out to do a big project and we never actually follow through because the cost is substantial. Andre.
So for me, I guess it was get, trying to get a degree in biology for college. I was so intent and so like determined to go through with it, but the first year and freshman year, I forgot that I even registered, so I missed that whole year altogether. I had to, because of that, I had to do sophomore year twice over.
Ooh.
I dropped out in the first sophomore year, and then I flunked out in the second sophomore year.
Yeah. So things didn't work out so well.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. We're gonna go Pablo, then Moses, and then we're gonna keep going.
I agree with both of them, Andre and Raul. For me, when I went to college, I wanted to do criminal justice. That was my major.
Okay.
But I guess I just went to college because, you know, your parents expect you to go to college. So, you know, I chose what I thought I wanted to do. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just do criminal justice. But, you know, always in the back of my head, I was like, I want to do something in IT because that's what like my whole high school experience was always IT and cybersecurity and stuff like that. So I guess, you know, that's, I just failed at college.
Right. Right. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Pablo. Moses, last comment.
Yeah, this was about last year when I was living up in Boston.
Okay.
I needed some extra cash, but I didn't know how to make it, so I decided to capitalize on my previous experience as a cook. So what I wanted to do was, you know, a small catering business, you know, on Instagram, you know, advertise to the locals, right? I got the materials, I had the page up to put it. I even had the name for it too, but I never went through with it.
So what happened, Moses?
What happened was just things started to become less unstable there. So I put a pause on that and was thinking, you know, getting ready to move back to New York.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that a lot of times we have ideas, we want to like do something, open up our own catering business, but things don't shake out the way we think they should, or they just don't work out. It's really interesting. So you've lived in Boston, so has Hannah, and so has Randy, the IO student in LCM. I don't know what's up with people from New York going to Boston, but I guess it must be a thing. So execution, let's talk about it. The execution phase. So just put in the chat box. Pablo, do you mind reading that for us?
What is the execution phase? The longest phase in the project that includes monitoring and controlling processes, assuring that the quality of the project is high, preventing variances.
Pablo, we can't really hear you.
From occurring and implementing work processes, I know that's quite a bit of information. Let me break it down.
Thank you so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a very short, about 3.5 minute long YouTube video where this woman's going to break it down much more, you know, articulate than I could. We'll come back. I'll share some of my feedback, and I'm going to give you all a scenario to kind of figure out with the execution phase, which, like it says here with Pablo Red, thank you again, Pablo, is the longest and most, you know, difficult part of project management. So up until now, we've been talking a lot about planning. But the reality of it is that once the project gets going, that's when your project management skills really need to shine. So let's go ahead and come back at 10:51. You can go ahead and go off camera, click that link, and we'll chat about the video. Thanks, guys. 51, go ahead and come back on camera. I know that was pretty technical, but if you are able to write one takeaway that you have in the chat box, was one thing that she said that you're like, oh, that's an interesting thought that I had not considered before in project management when it comes to monitoring and controlling. Now, bear in mind, monitoring and controlling is essentially the plan is a go. We're executing on it, and I have to make sure that everything goes according to the plan that we set it out to do. And that's exactly what project management is. Like that's where you earn your money in project management, is being in charge of the team, making sure that everybody operates in the way they're supposed to. So Rahul says, I'm excited to explore potential PMIS software. Excellent, excellent. That's great. Project management information system is used. That seems to be the recurring theme for sure. We'll talk more about that later on in this mod, but you need that. Deliverables can be tangible, producing deliverables. That's one of the things I'm so glad that Europe does, is that we call homework deliverables, because in the workforce you don't have homework, you have deliverables, you have objectives that you're required to complete, and that's exactly the same in project management. You as the project manager have your team, and you have to make sure that everybody does what they're required to do in the allotted time as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'll break it down. Like I said, I know that maybe that was a little bit technical for some of us, but that's fine. It's good to stretch ourselves a little bit. But here's just 3 really quick slides and then a opportunity to put it to work. Pablo, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Thanks, Pablo. So quality assurance. So one of your roles as a project manager is to make sure that everybody is doing the task as it was set out to do in the project charter and in the plan that you had set out. So some of us, if we're honest, we struggle with, and this is me, I'll poke fun of myself. I struggle with just hurrying up and getting things done as quickly as possible. And sometimes it's not like as great as it could be. Okay. So maybe I'm like working on a deliverable and I just like, I'm in a hurry because I have a lot of other things going on. So I just hurry up and just, do it. And then I realize after I do it, there's errors, there's typos. I said things wrong. I spelled things wrong. I did follow instructions very clearly. That can be an issue for a lot of people. And people on your project team are going to have the same issue as well. They're going to rush through things and not do them up to standard. All right. But then the opposite also happens. Some of you might be this way. My wife is this way, where she takes her time to do things and she does them very, very well. But sometimes they take a really long time. And it's like they shouldn't have taken this long. But there are no errors, there are no problems, but it just takes a very long time. So some of us are like me, and you just kind of rush through things and just get it done. Some of us are not that way. We take our time, we do things a little bit slower, but then it just takes longer and it puts other people behind. And you're gonna have both on your team when you do project management. You're gonna have those who get it done quick and those who are a little bit slower, and you have to know how to manage both of those people. Telling those who are quick, hey, let's slow it down a little bit. Let's do it right. Let's do it right the first time. And you're gonna have those who are not that way. Is there a cat behind you, Manny? That is really distracting. Okay, there's
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. It's fine.
Sorry, I just got a new cat. She just ran running around.
Okay, I just like, what is coming out of Manny's ear? And I'm like, is that a cat? Yeah, it's definitely a cat. All right, cool. All right, no problem. Let's keep going. Acquiring the team. This is also important. So sometimes as a project manager, you'll be assigned a team. Other times you'll be opportunity to build your own team, but making sure you build around people's strengths and their weaknesses to perform the different tasks that are required. And the last one, I mean, all of you are really good at this by this point in program. We're week 11 here at Year Up. You want to have team identity. That's so important. You want to be able to hold people accountable. You want to motivate your team and incorporate feedback. So let's just break down those 4 bullet points because I want to, that each are worth mentioning. So go ahead and raise your hand. I'm going to ask Pablo to call on you in order. Which one of those 4 do you think you have like a comment on? Like, oh, this is how I would build team identity. This is how I would hold people accountable. This is how I would incentivize people. This is how I would provide feedback. So whichever one of those 4 you think you could speak to, raise your digital hand. Pablo would call on you. But for me, like one of the things that I would do is I would have like a weekly like meeting like we do here at Year Up on like a Monday. And I would ask everybody, like, what are you working on this week? Like, what is your deliverable that you're going to do this week? And that holds everybody accountable because they're not just saying it to me, they're saying it to everybody else on our project team. So if you know, if Johnny says this week, I'm going to get this portion of the project done, then everyone heard, okay, Johnny said he's going to do it. And then if the next Monday comes around, he hasn't done it. Not only does Johnny look bad in front of me, he looks bad in front of everybody else. So it creates accountability. That's one of the things that I would do. Pablo, who had their hand up first in that group?
Majida.
So I just want to say, like, me in the past, I've struggled to, like, I used to be the person who would make like last minute changes, and it would kind of throw off the whole entire team. And or sometimes I would just like give my own information or like my own ideas and whatnot, and like not actually like consider other people's ideas. So like I've done this in the past, but I've actually like recently during Year Up, I started to work on that. I'm like, you know what, let's not like let's take a step back. I propose whatever ideas I have and like how I want to manage something, or like I first ask everybody, hey, who wants to be the leader? Yeah, I personally don't mind. And like if it's like everybody has a mutual agreement upon us that one person is the leader, and once we establish that, we all ask, like the way I would do it, I would format questions like, hey, what do you think? And I feel if they're like people who are like shy and quiet and don't feel like they're being listened to, then I would like specifically call out to them, be like, hey, like, do you want to do it? So like just being aware of everybody there and asking them questions and everybody coming on a mutual agreement. And I would then propose my idea. If somebody doesn't like it, then we'll figure out a solution from there. Or if everybody likes it, then we go along with it. That's how I do it.
Awesome, Majida. I don't know why, Majida, but I'm like convinced like 10 years from now, I'm gonna see you on LinkedIn and you're gonna be like the CIO somewhere. And we're like, yeah, Majida, you hiring? Can I come work for you? Because that's awesome. I mean, that's seriously so true. Like you don't want to be that domineering, bossy person. Like you want to open the floor to everybody to have input. So excellent. All right, Pablo, who's next?
David.
Thanks, Pablo. So for incorporating feedback, I would definitely do what we do here in Europe. So just selecting a few people, giving them feedback, and explain to them what their growth areas are and how they can improve upon them. So it makes dealing with tasks more feasible for them, and so they're not confused in any project that we do.
Yes, absolutely. So keeping that feedback loop open, David, is so important. And David, what happens if you don't provide feedback to your team?
Well, people are just gonna keep making the same mistakes, and they're not gonna improve. So there's always room for improvement.
100%, always. Yep, I love that. All right, Pablo, who's next?
Manny.
So good morning, guys. I would say like I'm the type of person to hold people accountable. Like in the past projects that I had that I worked with other people. We'll make a group chat. I say, okay, here are the options. Who wants to do what? And like that, like every single one of us, we pick like we pick a topic, and then we do our research. We put it in the PowerPoint, etc., etc., etc. So by the end of the project, we already know who did what, and we say everything is missing. If it is, then we tell the person, hey, here's today you're gonna do it. What's going on? And every week we just like we have a small meeting as well.
Yeah. What do you do, Manny, if you have that person who's not doing their deliverables? They're not doing what they said they would do, and it becomes like a recurring thing. Like you try to get to the bottom of it, you try to figure out, like, hey, what's going on? How can we support you? And they're like, oh, I got this, but they never actually get it done. Like, what do you do with that person, Manny?
So we just let the person, we put person on the side. And I remember it was a project that we did, and I'm gonna give this credit to Jesus, right? It was me and Jesus that we were just working on the PowerPoint, and at the very last minute, a few of our colleagues just came and helped us modify it.
Great. Jesus and Manny, the dynamic duo, right? Get the job done. I love it. Pablo, who's next?
Moses.
Yes, Moses.
The way I would structure it is depending on the size of the project. I would basically set up like a finite time. Matter of fact, set up meetings, limit the amount of meetings, right? Depending how long the project is, and also have everyone who's coming each week to the meeting present their deliverables and their progress to the groups. That way, you know, it drives a little motivation. It holds everyone accountable as well.
Right.
And gives everyone a deadline that they must accomplish the deliverables by.
Absolutely. I love that, Moses, because what it does is it makes people feel like, oh, wait, that person or that team is really, they're really moving and grooving and I'm slacking off. Like I need to step my game up. And it's kind of that positive peer pressure. You know, you don't want to be the person or the team that's lagging everybody else behind. I love it, Moses. Thank you. Who was next, Pablo?
Ashley B.
Good morning, everyone. I always try to take the leadership road. I just gravitate towards it, I guess. I guess I have more of a question than a comment because I struggle with working with people. And I noticed that like I dread working with people and it sounds so bad. And I apologize if anybody gets offended. It's just I like value the quality of my work. And if I feel like you're not doing as much work, I feel like I'm going to be affected or our product is going to be affected. So what do you do then?
Yeah, like, Ashley B. I don't think I don't think you're alone. Can I tell you a joke, Ashley B?
Please.
I want my coworkers to be my pallbearers so they can let me down one last time.
Oh my goodness. That was
funny. That was cheesy. That was very cheesy.
No, it was funny and it makes sense.
But this is the thing is that a healthy relationship requires trust, right? Both personal and professional. And if people are doing things to break your trust, then you have a reason to not put value in what they're going to do, right? Dad jokes. Yeah, go ahead, Ashley.
And me, I'm very like detailed, and I'm very like, that's why I don't know if I can do project management. I doubt myself because like if I have a project, I want it to come out, and I know nothing comes out perfect, but I want to get close to perfect as possible. And if I feel like you're slacking, I'm like, like I don't.
Yeah. So here's a question for you, Ashley B. Not to put you on the spot, but let's suppose you're leading a project and someone's slacking. How would you help that person to pick up the slack? Like, what would be your plan of action for that person?
Well, without guest speaker, he definitely gave me some ideas about handing them the mundane task, like the task that nobody wants to do. And I thought that was a good alternative than just completely disregarding them, because that's something I was doing. I'll just take on the whole work and just decide to do it myself instead of even dealing with you. But I think giving them tasks that I don't want to do kind of balances it.
Yeah, totally. And one thing I would piggyback on, Ashley, is like you are one person, right? You have a finite amount of time, of energy, of capacity. I think all of you know this, but before I got involved with Europe, I was doing leadership seminars for different companies around the city and around North America. And one of the number one challenge that leaders had was delegating tasks for the exact reason that you're talking about, Ashley. It's like, what if I give this away and they drop the ball? Right? Like, then that makes me look bad. That's a bad reflection on me. Yeah, if you want to scale and grow and get better, you have to give things away. So what you mentioned, maybe you get those easier tasks away, and I'll share a chart later on after the break that they might be helpful, Ashley. But also find out their motivation. Like, what is their why? Like, why are you here? Why do you work here? What do you care about? And if you like, if someone says, "Well, I just care about getting home on time and seeing my kids or seeing my dog or watching Netflix," it's like, okay, well, let's get the job done. So when 5 o'clock rolls around, you can go home and see your dog.
Provide motivation.
Provide the motivation, yeah, because like I don't really care about this job, but I care about the lifestyle it brings me. It's like, okay, well, you're gonna go on a really nice vacation, soon. Why don't we just work hard and think about what much you're going to relax on that vacation? But finding out what the motivation is really goes a long way with people.
Thank you for the advice. I think that helps me not because my approach to project management was kind of hesitant because I do like to be in a leadership role, but I don't know how to manage myself So I have to, in order to manage others. So
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, the number one challenge that senior leaders have. I mean, I'm talking people who have been working for 30 plus years. They work for Salesforce, Uber, Google. I mean, you name it. They're like, yeah, I stink at delegation. So you're in good company, Ashley, because it's really, really hard to trust other people to get the, like get their portion of the job done. But yeah, like Ashley Ross just put, the fact that you realize that now as a emerging professional is huge. So you're gonna begin to work on it now, and you and Majida will be CIOs together. So, all right, yeah, hopefully, all right, whatever path you choose. But it's a good question. I'll show a chart after the break that I think could be helpful. All right, let's go with Amna, because we haven't heard from her yet, and then I'm gonna go ahead with this today's scenario.
Hi. So like I wanted to agree with what Ashley was saying. Like I sometimes feel like that in certain groups too. Like I feel like that like I don't want someone else's work to affect my grade. But then at the same time, I also feel like that if I have like a great leader in the group, like I don't want to let them down. It's like I don't want anything like any of my work to affect their grade as well. So like I feel that on like both perspectives.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I wouldn't want someone's work to affect me, so therefore like I make sure my work doesn't, I try my best to make sure my work doesn't affect the rest of the group.
yep. Well,
It's
so
like I
so
don't,
interesting. Yeah. So you're saying if you have a good leader, you want to
yeah.
work harder.
Yeah, like for one of my groups, I had Samaji in my group, and like my whole time in my head is like, I can't let Samaji down. I can't let Samaji down. Like, that's what kept like trying me to do my best. Like, it's like I don't want to let Samaji down.
Yeah, well, Samaji is a very strong leader,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, I would if she was my leader, I wouldn't want to let her down either because she's a great
Yeah.
leader. But the thing of it is that like when if you're a person who's bossy and rude and nasty to your people, they're just gonna rebel, right? Like I'll forget this, I'm not gonna do this. But there's a great quote, and don't know who said it, I'll look it up. But it says, if you take care of your people, they'll take care of the product.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. Hmm. If you're taking care of them, if you're looking out for their best interests, if you're helping them be successful, like they'll take care of the work. So I think Samaja should become our guest speaker later on this week to talk about how to be a great leader. What do you guys think? Give me a check for that. All right, gave me 2 thumbs up. So all right, I see Majida, Manny, Rahul, and David's hand. If you have a comment about like Ashley Bafong or Amna's question, keep your hand up. If not, you can put your hand down. Rahul, do you have a comment about that?
Yeah, with Ashley's question, I used to work at J. Crew. I started off as a seasonal employee, and then I built myself up to be the manager. And one thing that I learned, one instance where I had to deal with the Ashley situation. So you know how retail works. You can't leave the store until it's clean. All the cash is counted. Blah blah blah. I was familiar with all the processes. I learned pretty quickly. I was excited about the job. It was my first time working outside of the food industry, so I was really happy. I didn't have to deal with that anymore. But one thing I noticed as I worked there is, a lot of people wouldn't, fold whatever designated sections or clean it properly. They would just do the bare minimum to make it look like it's clean if anybody walked through. But if you actually looked at it, you'd notice that it's dirty. And then what happens is our managers would do a walkthrough at the end of the day, which would lead to us staying longer, and prevents everybody from going home. And as far as I went about it, my managers took the manager route. I feel like, they were stern and whatnot, and, they weren't really there for the hard work. So to come at the end of the hard work and say all that, it doesn't really work, I feel. So since I was already on the floor, since I was already familiar with all my coworkers and everybody, I felt like I provided a warm, good presence. And for that reason, I was able to talk to everybody and kind of get them on the same page, like start off with a small conversation and then talk about how, like, at the end of the day, we all want to go home on time. That's the end goal for all of us, right? Nobody wants to stay here longer than intended. So like, if we all put in our own, 2 cents, if we all put in our own respective efforts, then we can all make that happen. If not, then one person's just going to hold us back from, getting home. So eventually it kind of helped us move forward. And that's how I kind of got recognized for more leadership roles in the company.
Yeah, that's excellent, Rahul. I love that story, and it's perfect. A boss says you go do it, and a leader says let's go do it. Right? Let's do it together. Let's get out of here on time. Let's go enjoy the rest of our day. But I'm not here just to dictate what you should do. I'm going to be in the trenches with you. So excellent. So Majida asked a really good question. If someone wants to pursue a career in project management after a year up, So there is a certification you can take called the with the PMP. I'll put the link in a little bit later. I have never taken it. I hear it is really, really, really tough. Like people say it's harder than taking like a med school exam or like the bar exam. Like it's like really, really tough. The book you study is like 1,000+ pages. But that's an opportunity. But I would really encourage you post year up is like get on the projects at your job. Like when you first start off as an entry level employee, like they're probably not going to make you the project manager day one. You'd be like, but I learned from Eric all about this. It's like, well, slow down. Like just be on the team, learn, like be a part of this. Like, and then once you do that a few times, if you really feel like this is something I want to pursue, then I would look into a certification. And that can really be great on your resume. That's an excellent question. All right, I have a scenario for you guys. You're gonna laugh at it because it's pretty over the top. And we're actually gonna try something a little bit different. I haven't done this before in Zoom, so I don't know how it works. But there's actually a feature where you can choose your own breakout room. So this is what we're gonna do. Either you can work by yourself on this, what you would do in a scenario, or you can like join a breakout room with other people. And you just like click, you click on the link. We'll look at it here in a minute. And you can join with different people as opposed to me manually assigning you because that's very time consuming. But we'll play with that here in a second. But here's your scenario. You're leading a project team to create a 4-week learning campaign on creating an inclusive work environment to present to your staff. Your team has been working hard for 2 months on making this the best campaign it can be. One of your team members, Richie, has not been pulling his weight. Richie is the designer of the PowerPoints and said he needs more time for, quote, creative process, end quote, before he creates the decks. Everyone else has done their deliverable, booked the rooms, carried the food, hired the AV people, emailed the staff, and practiced their talking points, but Richie's slides are still not done. It's Monday morning, and your first presentation is in 1 week, and your team is getting anxious that Richie isn't going to complete his deliverable, even though he insists it's, quote, under control, end quote, at your weekly meeting. You trust his judgment, but ask to have one-on-one with him on Thursday to measure his progress. Worst case scenario you think is you can create the slide deck, though that's not your area of expertise. When you go into Zoom on Thursday, Richie never shows up. You email him, there's no response. You call him, he doesn't answer. You ask if anybody had heard from Richie, and no one has. You call his boss, and he said he's out sick that day. Your presentation to the senior leaders is on Monday. It's Thursday at 5 p.m. Oh, wait, your phone just rang. It's your mom, and she told you your grandpa just passed away, and the funeral is Saturday at his village in Puerto Rico, and she booked your flight for 7 a.m. tomorrow. What are you going to do? So, project management in real life, okay? So what I'm going to do is shut it down. Yeah, exactly, cry. I'm going to open the rooms, and show me what you see on your screen. Can you just pick whatever room you want? Pablo, can you help me out with this part? Because I haven't done this before.
Yes. So for right now, we can't see anything.
You don't see anything?
No. I know what you're talking about. There's usually at the bottom where I think it's next to the reactions, and you could choose your own breakout room, but I don't see that right now.
All right, hold on. Let me close it and try again. Sorry, this is all new to me. All right. Recreate. Let participants choose their own room. I'm going to make 10 rooms. Recreate and hit open all rooms. Oh, is that what it is? Actually, if you don't have the updated Zoom, you can't do it. Is that what it is?
It's there now.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, you can see it.
Okay, so go ahead and what you can do is like if you want to be with people, like go into a room, like go say I want to go in room 5, and then if you say, oh, I want to be with Jesus and he's in room 5, I'm going to join room 5. And if you want to work alone, you can as well. And we'll do this for 15 minutes and come back at 11:30. So. And if you want to work by yourself, you can do it. So I think what it is, so it looks like Amna's in room 2. So if someone wants to join Amna, they go in room 2.
I have a question.
Yes.
Like how trying to think of the word, but like let's say if like the solution, in my opinion, I feel like it's simple. Like would you take like a simple answer?
If you think it's a simple problem to solve, then yeah. And you can use these 14 minutes to, do whatever you need to do. But but you can either work alone or you can join one of the rooms. It looks like there's 2 rooms open right now. So if you want to do that, and I'm going to put the scenario in the chat box for everybody, and I'll see you in 14 minutes. Okay, everybody, welcome back. if you know what you're going to do in this scenario, please go ahead and raise your digital hand and let's hear your feedback. We've got some folks still making their way back to the main room, but if you want to go ahead and report out first, raise your hand and we'll go ahead and call on you. For those just joining us, we're having folks share what they're going to do in this scenario. You can raise your digital hand if you want to report out. I see Karina's hand.
Yeah, my group decided that on that day we would be emailing our supervisor on what's happening, emailing the supervisor about our teammate that isn't putting up their end and asking for an extension because of it. And then we would try getting on a Zoom call to finish those slides.
A Zoom call with like your other teammates, you mean the ones who are actually doing their work?
Correct.
Okay, so you're gonna call supervisor. Are you gonna say like, "Hey, Richie hasn't pulled his weight." You're gonna rat out Richie.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, we're gonna rat out. I am also gonna let him know what's going on with my relative that passed.
Sure. Yep.
And then letting him know also that we're gonna try and get on a Zoom call with team members that are putting up their ends to try and see if we can finish those slides that way.
Awesome. Excellent. So, okay. Thank you, Karina, for your feedback. The next hand I saw was Samaje. Samaje, what do you do if you're the project manager on this project?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
So my group members and I think it was Shalisa and Ricardo, we said that we would talk to Richie. We will also like via email and phone calls, whatever we're doing virtually. Or in person. I would say like if we're sending an email to Richie, we have like the higher ups will CC them so they could see the process of everything, not BCC them so they could see the process and Richie not doing his work. We will also have a backup plan, like a plan B and plan C. We'll have someone else in the group do his work, or we'll ask the higher ups to have someone come into the group so they can do the work and take Richie off. I guess the higher ups will have to talk to him because he needs to get off the team because he's not putting his nothing in. And for the family situation, I mentioned if she should or he should send a message to their higher ups about her. She should send a message to the higher ups, her boss, everyone on her team that her family member just died, and say that she would like be leaving at a certain time. I also think she should postpone the flight to Puerto Rico to maybe 3 o'clock because 7 a.m. won't do for me. And yeah, and then come back, like probably leave Puerto Rico Sunday. Maybe if she's not close to her grandfather or family members like that, just leave the next day and prepare for your meeting.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Samaje. Rahul?
Hey guys, it's Rahul. So as far as I would go about the situation, so given in this scenario, we've already tried to contact him. He's already been MIA. He's missed his most recent one-on-one meeting with me. So at this point, I'm not going to rely on him. I'm considering him, he's gotten in terms of his effort towards the project. But as far as how I communicate that, I don't feel as though I'm gonna rat him out. The route I would take rather is, first I have my own situation at hand, the 7 a.m. flight. So I am gonna think about that, and that is my priority, and I will shape everything else around that. So given that everybody else has almost finished their tasks or is finished with their tasks in the group, the only thing we have left is a presentation. Maybe I could gather a last minute call with my group members, maybe divvy up that presentation. If not, I have a flight to Puerto Rico, I'm guessing is around a few hours, given that time, given the time I have left until the flight, I would use that time to try to have some kind of backup presentation that we can use, as a complete backup. And I would try to get my group members in on that. If not, then I can definitely muster up the energy to do it. And also, I will still get on the flight. My family is top priority. I would let my supervisor know what's going on as far as my family is concerned. And as far as my group members, lack of it, I would just let my manager know he's been MIA. I hope everything's okay. He has not been getting back to me, but that's where we stand. I haven't heard back from him, but that's how I would go about it. And hopefully, if it's a village, if I could find Wi-Fi, I'd make it work. Try to get, if it's a Zoom call for the presentation, I'll try to find a way to do both. If not, then I'll try to make it back to the city or wherever by Sunday night, hopefully.
Great. We're gonna do Uzman. Thank you, Rahul. Uzman, last comment, and then I want to spend a little bit of time discussing the midterm, which is this weekend.
I had the pleasure of working with Hannah, and what she recommended was, he's human, so he could have been having a bad week. He did let us know that he's capable of doing the work. So if he's unable to do it, there's probably a reason behind it. We would just try to keep in contact and email, make sure everything is all right. And then for the funeral, we would have to miss it because it's impromptu, and we can't have two missing members now. So we would try to do that.
Okay, so you guys chose the route of, what Arnold Schwarzenegger did when he was in the midst of his training in the USA, and his father passed away in Austria, and his mom said, "Come back home to your home country and attend your father's funeral." And Arnold Schwarzenegger said, "Well, he's already dead. What am I going to do?" And he decided to stay in America and miss his own father's funeral because he was too busy training, which, teach their own. I personally would attend my parents' funeral, my grandparents' funeral, but he came to mind, though. I'm not sure what that means. Anyways, real quick, we got 8 more minutes left. Thank you all for your feedback. Obviously, this is when project management gets real. To Ashley's point earlier, you have to rely on other people. You have to rely that they're going to get the job done, and that can be very stressful when you have people who don't. So I want to share this chart with you all. This is something I've used in my life and my management as well. What do you do when you have a person who has a low will and low skill? You direct that person. What are you doing with a person who has high skill but a low will? You try to excite that person. What are you doing? It's high will, high skill. You delegate to that person. And if it's high will but low skill, you help guide that person. So being a leader is not a one size fits all solution. You as the manager, you have to understand. I'm going to put this in the chat box so you all have it. It's not on Schoology. There it is. I can put it under the resources tab as well. But the thing of it is, being a leader is not just you do this, you do this, do this. The problem with this scenario is that we just trusted Richie too much too early. If we're working on something for 2 months and he's not getting anything done, after a week or so, it's all right, Richie, I'm having some concerns. I have to be working a little more closely with you because everyone else is getting their job done and you're not. So I need to work. Once a week is not going to cut it. I got to see you twice a week, 3 times a week to make sure that you're staying on task. You should not be the Thursday before the big presentation on Monday and have a whole entire, we're just going to assume a very complex PowerPoint not done. That should never happen as a project manager. That should have been week 1. This is not getting done. I need to either work very closely with Richie to see if that's done or find someone else to do our PowerPoint because I don't want to end up Thursday at 5 p.m. of that section not being done. And then we're in big trouble. Nip it in the bud. Yeah, that would be how I would handle a situation. But of course, that's in a perfect world. We don't live in a perfect world. All right, real quick. So this weekend, I'm going to open up our midterm. Our midterm is an exam. It's going to be on Schoology. It's going to be about 40 questions long. Those questions will either be multiple choice or true and false. It's going to study what we've covered so far within the first 4 weeks of project management. I am not going to have class on Thursday because I have an in-service that day. So I'm still looking at my schedule, but I think during the time when we meet, which is right now, which is 10:30, 11:45, I'm going to try to open up a classroom so that way we can just, meet together. If you guys have questions, I'll include that in an email. But I can assure you it's not going to be, high stress. It's going to be fine. You're going to be able to handle it. I'll help you guys along the way to everyone can get a good grade. I did mention this in the email. It will be open book. And what I mean by that is you're going to have a time frame. You have to complete it. I'm still playing with that. Probably about an hour So it's not gonna like, you're not gonna have 4 hours to sit there and just get 40 questions done, because if it takes you that long, then I know that you're obviously just looking up every single answer. And that's not ideal. There is gonna be a time constraint to it. But the thing that I'm also gonna say is that you cannot do it with other people. All right. So if I look at your midterm and I look at someone else's midterm and you got all the same questions right and all the same questions wrong, I'm going to pull you and that person into a room and I'm going to ask you very plainly, did you guys do this together? And if you say, yes, we did, then you're out of year up. You're out of the program, because that's academic integrity, which is we take very seriously here. And if I bring you into a room and they say, did you guys do this together? And you say no, even though you did, and we find out that you're lying, that's even worse. So please, please, please have integrity. You can look at your notes, you can look at the PowerPoints, they're all there. But if you decide to go into a room with 3 or 4 other people and do the exam together, that's, I don't want to have that conversation with anybody in this room that, hey, you got help from somebody else. I'm making it so that you can be successful. I care about you all. I care about your success. So I'm going to give you time to practice with me on Thursday. I'm going to give you the opportunity to, ask questions. It's not going to be super hard. It's just going to make sure that you have a good grasp on the knowledge before we go into the second half of the mod. So I'm going to lower the hands that are up right now, and you can raise it again. If you have a question that's specific to the midterm, you can raise your hand. And before we go into that, Pablo, real quick, can you just read this? That's the deliverables I just do this week. Can you read that, Pablo? And then we'll answer any questions on the midterm.
Okay. Implementation, discussion board, original post tonight at 11:59. Respond to at least 2 posts by Thursday at 11:59. You forgot about San Fran scenario essay due Wednesday at 11:59. Catastrophic quality assurance due Thursday at 11:59. And the midterm will be posted on Thursday and be due Sunday at 11:59.
Yep. So that's the deliverables. That's due this week. I can see Eric. Well, that's very nice of you, Ashley. Thank you. But honestly, with 2 young children, I don't want that kind of responsibility. I'm happy to work with all of you lovely people and be done every day at 5 o'clock. And where's Ashley Buffong? I'm happy to say I'll do my job and not have to worry about if you do your job. I'm just going to do my job and I can go home and not be stressed out about it. I've managed people before and I know it's very fulfilling, but it's also very challenging. And I'm just, not at a place in my life, my career where I'm like, you know what? I'm happy to do my job and not have to worry about if other people do their job. So that's very kind of you to say. With that said, if you want to go, you can. But if you want to stay and hear the questions for the midterm, feel free to hang on. Julissa, I saw your hand first.
My question is regarding what you said on Thursday. Can you? So there will be class. It's just going to be set up different.
There'll be an optional study hall with me on Thursday during this time that you can come to if you would like. You don't have to, but that'll be an opportunity for us to discuss the midterm at more length, but that is not required. That'll also be recorded as well for those who can't, make it or don't, for whatever reason.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Thanks. Tiana?
For the midterm, are we allowed to come back and do it if we not finish all the way, or we do have to do it one setting?
Oh, great question. You have to do it in one setting.
So when we start, we have to finish it.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to include that in my notes that don't sit down and think I'm going to do 10 minutes now and 10 minutes later. You have to sit down and do it in one shot.
Okay.
So make sure you have a whole entire hour blocked off. David?
The study hall this Thursday will be the same time as regular class.
As of right now, I think so. But the problem is that LCJ, I'm sorry, not LCJ. The IO students are taking the same midterm as you. They have class on Thursday afternoon, so I might do it right now it's 10:30 to. What do you guys have going on before this? Thursday morning? Do you guys have anything, David?
I don't think so.
Okay, so maybe what I'll do is I'll make it office hours. So yeah, what I'll probably do is I'll probably do 10 to 11 that way, because what happens is the IO students have a class with Sadea from 10:30 to 11:45, and it's not fair to them to not be able to attend this time. So I'll probably do it 10 to 11. And it's
Okay.
and to answer your question, Manny, it is optional. You don't have to attend that if you don't want to. So I will not be taking attendance for that, and it'll be multiple choice and true and false, both. About 40 questions. Ashley
And
Ross,
I'm sorry.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. The
David.
midterm will start what time again?
What time will I open it?
Yeah.
Probably around midday on Thursday, and it'll be due by 11:59 on Sunday. So you have half the day Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. But to Tiana's question earlier, you just can't open it and do 5 minutes of it and say, "Never mind, not ready." Like once you open it, you have to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, Ashley.
Yes. Is there a chance for us to take it while we're in a Zoom meeting with you, just in case we have any questions on clarifications?
Unfortunately, that won't be possible. But in the event that, like, imagine you take it Thursday afternoon, and you have a question, you can just email me and I can get back to you. Because I'm in an in-service. I'm doing like a 5-hour long year up meeting, but I'll have access to email. So if there's something that you're unsure about, you can send me a message, and I'm happy to help. But and I'm not in the office on Friday, so I'm out of office Friday, and of course Saturday and Sunday I'm not in the office. So if you feel like, hey, I'd like to have Eric available, then I would take it Thursday afternoon.
Okay, and in addition to that, I know that sometimes instructors set the test so that you cannot move on without answering the question. Will your test be like that, or we can be able to skip and then go back?
I believe I'm going to set it up where you have to answer each question in order. Yeah.
Okay.
I will not be at Feedback Friday. No, I have 2 sick days that are left to my calendar. If I don't use them by year end, I lose them. So this Friday I'm going to the dentist, the eye doctor, and the general doctor to get all my checkups done. So I will not be there. Why, Jaleesa? Do you have feedback for me that you wanted to share on Friday?
No, I was just wondering.
Oh, I was so looking forward to it. I'm kind of let down. Thanks for hurting my feelings.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I won't be there Friday, and then so I'll miss Feedback Friday. But if you have feedback that you want to give, you obviously can do it at any point. So, yes, Manny.
Yeah. So I know that like for minority kickoff, my program manager said that on Friday we have a half day. I don't know if that's for the whole LC or only for LCJ.
On Friday or Thursday? Because I know
Thursday.
Thursday to everybody, because everyone at Europe staff has a in service that day. So we're going to be in a meeting basically from noon to 5 on Thursday. So everyone else has a half day. I think 11:30, like you're done.
We were still at 11:45, so I just want to make sure, since you said that you're gonna do 10 to 11 for the study session, because it wouldn't be fair for IO. So that's why I was wondering if you were gonna have like 2 study sessions or only 1.
I can only have 1 because I have a meeting Thursday afternoon all day, or all afternoon rather.
Got it.
So we'll do 10 to 11 Thursday. That way the IO students can come. I can't have office hours because I have that that meeting all afternoon that I have to attend. So we'll have that hour together. That IO and IT, whoever wants to come can come, and we'll study together. Yes. Oh yeah, Manny.
Yeah, sorry. Do you think that you can have like study sessions during the office hours, like till Thursday? I mean till Thursday. No, Wednesday. Sorry.
You know what? I have available. Let's look at my calendar. What's today? The 16th. So I have office hours today, 3:15, 3:45, and tomorrow. So yes, those 2 days, if you want to come by and talk about the midterm, you certainly can. I'll be there.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Usman? Usman, you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ari. That's for earlier.
Oh, it's okay. No problem at all. Are there any, I'm going to lower everyone's hand. Are there any other questions before we close out this room?
Should I send a calendar marker for the drop-in office hours on Tuesday?
Nope. I'll be there 3:15 as long as you're there. And it's the same link as this, Ashley. So just come here and I'll be here and we'll be happy to chat.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Eric.
All right. You're welcome, everybody. Have a good rest of the day. See ya.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
there.
Bye-bye.